So, you're off to do business in Mexico. My name is Dale Drogseth, and our group has covered many aspects of doing business in Mexico, and I'll see what I can add here. Here in the United States, when you go to a business lunch, even if it's your very first contact, you might exchange a few niceties, but the purpose of the lunch is business, and you get right down to business. In Mexico, that business lunch is a whole lot different. There, business deals are considered to be made among friends, and that business lunch, that's your opportunity to make friends, to build some trust, if you will, not to dive into your proposal. Now, in Mexico, typically a business lunch is going to start around 2 in the afternoon, and it can last 3 or even 4 hours. Building the relationship cannot be overemphasized. Trust is extremely important in all business dealings down there. It's also important how you address your counterpart. First, he will use Mr. and you will use Senor, and you'll continue to do that until he asks you politely to use his first name. And he'll call you Mr. until you ask him to call you by your first name. Now, when I say Senor, Senor who? In Latin America, in Mexico as Latin America, they have 3 or more names, but they use their names differently. The first name is given like the parents, just as it is here. But the second name is actually the father's last name. Now you're going to have to excuse me, our overhead projector is not working, so I'll use this example. So we've got the father's last name as the middle name, and what we would consider the last name here in the United States is the mother's last name. But in your addressing your Mexican counterpart, use the father's last name, or you see it, the middle name. So in the example I'm showing you here, you would use Senor Lopez. But one thing to keep in mind, if he has a professional designation, whether that be doctor, professor, whatever, always use the professional designation. So it would be Dr. Lopez or Professor Lopez. Now, in the United States, we always want to close the deal. Time is of the essence. Time is money. Whereas in Mexico, they appreciate time as something within which to enjoy life, and they do business that way. They have long holiday periods where little or no business takes place. Semana Santa, for instance, is their Easter holiday. It's an entire week where business basically shuts down. Their Christmas holiday, much longer than ours, begins December 12th, which is their Our Lady of Guadalupe holiday, and it goes to January 6th. So you can do yourself a favor and just stay home during those time periods. Okay, in the United States, when you see INC for incorporated or LLC for limited liability company, of course you know you're looking at a corporation. In Mexico, the counterpart of LLC, and you'll see it everywhere, is S period, A period, or Sociedad Anónima. You'll see it everywhere, and it tells you that you're looking at a corporation when you see that S period, A period. Changing subjects, your business card. Print your business card, one side in English, one side in Spanish. If your counterpart isn't perfectly fluent in English, of course that's going to help him, and it also shows it's a sign of respect. Business letters. Business letters in Mexico, the format itself is not a whole lot different than it is here in the United States. But after all the talk about the business lunch being not about business, about developing friendship and developing trust, well, when you're following up with a business letter, it's strictly about business. They expect you to get to the point, not talk about the weather or make small talk. The business letter is business. It's not a personal letter. Okay, with your business letter, you can do one of two things to show respect, if you will. If you have somebody you trust completely, you can have them translate it, but there's always that danger of something lost in translation. So the other thing you can do is open and close in Spanish. It lets your counterpart know that you're not fluent in Spanish, but it's showing respect by that opening and closing. Opening, of course, it would just be using the senor or senora, etc., or their professional designation to address them. In closing, instead of sincerely, you could use simply la saluda atentamente, which translates as sincerely or yours faithfully. Business reports in Mexico. Since business reports are probably for the most part done intra-company, I won't spend much time on it here, but just so you're aware, within companies in Mexico, they don't really like the business report. Let's say mid-level management that's being asked to write the report, they oftentimes aren't sure what's expected of them, so they'll throw everything in the report, including the kitchen sink, and then when upper management gets the report, they've got all that stuff that they just don't want to read, not getting to the point, if you will. Email in Mexico is used in business just as it is here, but sometimes that email takes on a different tone. In the United States, let's say that you asked for a report to be on your desk Monday. Tuesday morning rolls around, it's not there. You might fire off an email and say, "Hey Joe, where's the report? I expected it yesterday. I need that report right away." In Mexico, that same situation might start out with, "Hi Joe, how are you?" and some other words showing concern for the person, for the individual, and then get around to asking politely where that report is. Okay, a few more things to keep in mind when doing business down there. Here in the United States, we stress eye contact. In Mexico, your counterpart may make very little eye contact. Don't take that as an affront. That's the way they do it. That's a sign of respect, if you will. Also in Mexico, conversations take place at a very close personal or close physical distance. Now in the United States, we've all experienced that close talker, and our natural reaction is to back away. Well, don't do that in Mexico, because that's the way they do it, and it'll be taken as a sign that you're unfriendly, if you will. A couple other things: standing with your hands on your hips is considered aggressive. Standing with your hands in your pockets is considered impolite. Okay, we talked a lot about the conversations, such as the long business lunch. Topics to avoid: don't bring up religion, politics, illegal aliens, and please don't bring up the Mexican-American War. In closing, remember, at your first meeting, the proposal's on the back burner. Develop the relationship. I'll say that again, develop the relationship. You can be the smartest guy in the room, you can have the very best proposal, but if you haven't built that friendship, if you haven't built that trust, you're just wasting your time. Thank you very much.